Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
San Antonio's response to mental health calls has been questioned over the last year since Melissa Bettis' death. So coming up tonight at the Nightbeat, we're talking to a mental health organization 1 year after her death to talk about what change has happened in San Antonio and what still needs to come.
One last downpour out there. This one's on the north and northwest side of town. One last hurrah, not much left over on the radar, but still a little bit of activity lingering. We'll take a look at how much rain we got and compare it to the newest drought monitor in just a bit.
Plus, we're going to take you behind the kitchen door where dead pests and food were found at the floor of some area restaurants. But first,
I'll never be the same. I don't have my mom with me anymore. I wish I can just go back and tell her how much I loved her.
Her family's hearts are heavy. Last night on the Nightbeat, we spoke with the loved ones of Melissa Bettis.
Yeah, she's the woman who was shot and killed by San Antonio police in her apartment nearly 1 year ago. Sergeant Alfred Flores, Officer Eleazar Alejandro, and Officer Nathaniel Villalobos are all charged in connection to Bettis' death.
Now, on June 23rd of 2023, body camera video shows the officers shooting and killing Bettis. SAPD says that at the time, Bettis was having a mental health episode. Now, since her death, people have put the city's mental health response right in the spotlight.
Yeah, and over the last year, there have been changes. Now there are apparently more resources to handle these crisis situations.
But as the Night Team's Avery Everett shows us, mental health experts say it's still not enough.
We're way behind the curve. We need to do a lot more.
A call to action for citywide change.
Mental health needs to be part of a lot of conversations.
Doug Beach is the executive director of the Greater San Antonio National Alliance on Mental Illness. And he says city leaders, police, and the community should all be prioritizing mental health.
People would not put up with this kind of response if it was a heart attack or a physical issue. But if it's a mental health issue, we don't get the same level of healthcare response.
Sunday marks 1 year since San Antonio police officers shot and killed Melissa Bettis. SAPD says at the time, Bettis was experiencing a mental health crisis and that its mental health unit was not called out to the scene. Since her death, people have been asking how the city handles mental health calls.
People would call us and say, I'm not calling the police department if my family member needs help. I'm afraid to call the police.
But the city has been trying to change that mindset. The SAPD Mental Health Unit and the city's SA Corps program are tasked to respond to mental health emergencies. SA Corps stands for San Antonio Community Outreach and Resiliency Effort. The Corps unit sends a mental health trained officer, paramedic, and licensed mental health clinician. A public information officer with SAPD said in a statement that the program recently added 24-hour capabilities and 5 clinicians, 9 paramedics, and 12 police officers to the team.
So San Antonio's doing a good job as far as building their multidisciplinary teams. Where I think they could even improve upon that is looking at a community responder program.
Ernest Stevens helped create the first mental health unit at SAPD years ago. He says the hardest part is decriminalizing mental health, but education can help. SAPD said cadets are provided with about 100 hours of training in crisis intervention, de-escalation, and tactical disengagement.
They're moving in the right direction.
With no simple solution, the city says it's taking steps, though mental health experts say more can't come soon enough. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
So those mental health advocates also want us to discuss mental health a lot more so that there's less of a stigma.
Yeah, if you or a loved one need mental health support, sometimes one of the strongest things you can do is ask for help. We have a list of resources on KSAT.com right now.
Now, Avery also spoke with Melissa Bettis' family yesterday, and it is still clear that they are struggling with what happened. And you could hear from them right now on all of KSAT's streaming platforms. Now an update to a story that we've been following for days. The 16-year-old boy accused of shooting his own mother on Tuesday is going to remain in custody until a hearing on July 3rd. That was the order handed down in a juvenile district court today. Now we're blurring his face. You can't see it there. And we're also not identifying him because he's a minor. We just told you that he was 16. Now you may remember that San Antonio police say the teen got into an argument with his mom at a home on Delgado Street before allegedly shooting her in the back of the head with a shotgun. 37-year-old Luz Gonzalez, that's the mom, she died right at the scene.
A confession and burn barrels, big pieces of evidence shown to the jury today in the murder trial of Andres Tarava. He's the man accused of shooting and killing Marisol Klingelhofer before burning her body in 2021. A month after Klingelhofer disappeared, Tarava detained by Texas Rangers. What he told investigators during that investigation, it was shocking.
When you burned her, how many pieces did you have to cut her up into? You cut her whole. You cut her whole.
And it refers to placing her in the, I believe it says asenador, which is a slang term for either oven, fire, barbecue pit. And then I ask him where the asenador is, where. I also ask him Lucky Road, and he acknowledges it.
Tarava told the Texas Rangers he wanted to make Klingelhofer pay because she stole some of his late father's belongings. He said he shot her 4 times in the face, then took her body to his property off Lucky Road. Photos shown in court show small bone fragments found inside those burn barrels on the property. Those same barrels actually brought into the courtroom for the jury to see today. The trial continues tomorrow morning. If found guilty, Tarava faces up to life in prison. KSAT will continue to live stream this trial. You can watch it all on all of our streaming platforms. The U.S. Supreme Court siding with the former Castle Hills City Councilwoman today. Sylvia Gonzalez filed a lawsuit against the city of Castle Hills after she was arrested in 2019. Gonzalez was charged with tampering with government records for allegedly stealing petitions off the mayor's desk, claiming her civil rights were violated in retaliation for her political stance against the city manager. The U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against her, but then the Supreme Court took up her case. She can now go forward with her federal lawsuit against the city of Castle Hills. Many of you have been telling San Antonio how you think leaders should spend your taxpayer money. Well, as they discuss next year's budget, the city conducted 2 surveys in advance of that. In the first one, 1,000 San Antonians said the budget priorities should be streets, homeless camp cleanups, homeless services, sidewalks, and police. In the second survey, more than 5,000 people listed police, affordable housing, homeless services, and fire and EMS as their top priorities. Leaders still drafting the next budget should include more than $1 billion worth of spending. We should see it sometime in August.
Now, drought bills are going to start being enforced next month. SAWS will begin charging violators on their bills. City Council passing those new rules today, and they're in effect. Repeat offenders, they're going to pay more. For a complete breakdown of SAWS' new watering rules, just scan that QR code that you see to the bottom left of your screen. The city's animal care services will now open 2 new service clinics that they're set to open next year. One of them is going to be in South New Braunfels on the east side, and the other on Castroville Road on the west side. Now, the new locations are going to go up in parts of town that basically lack spay and neuter services. So for now, the plan is for them to open late January or early February.
Unbearable. That's how elderly tenants at the Wheatle Park Senior Living Center describe the living conditions there.
Yeah, basically they don't have access to AC, and it's not even with the dead of summer yet. Now, it's an issue that we first told you about last Friday.
Yeah, tonight the night team's John Paul Barajas getting some answers from the apartment's property management company about why the AC doesn't work.
We're living in hell. We are living in hell.
Little to no AC for the past 2 years. That's what the people living at Wheatle Park Senior Living say they've been dealing with.
Nothing has changed for me.
And last time we were here, your apartment was at 97 degrees inside.
That is correct, and it remains hot.
The property management company, McCormack, Barron, and Salazar sent us a statement that reads in part, the local property management team is aware of HVAC issues identified impacting up to 28 residential units and common areas. The company also said they've ordered parts to fix the problem, but that it could take up to 3 weeks to arrive.
It's not only unbearable, we have more than half of the people in this building, we're on some kind of medication. This is not safe for us.
The company tells us they will give tenants window air conditioning units while they wait for the HVAC systems to get fixed. But those living here worry it won't be enough.
Some of the hallways have received some window, tiny units in them, but it doesn't resolve any of our concerns.
As for the ongoing issues, McCormack, Barron, and Salazar acknowledges they've had to replace 8 HVAC systems since last year prior to the current issues.
The safety and comfort of our residents is always our primary concern and priority.
No, it's not. I would like to believe that, but that would be a false statement.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Or let tenants like Yolanda and Jacqueline know we are not letting go of the story. We're going to continue to follow it. But coming up new on the Nightbeat, several of San Antonio city leaders gathering today to ride stationary bikes, and they weren't the only ones. We'll tell you why.
Food stored on the floor, gnats, and a dead pest. Those are just some of the violations that health inspectors found at 3 restaurants. Daniela Ibarra takes us now behind the kitchen door.
Inside this colorful building, health inspectors flagged several violations. La Jalisco on Nogalitos near Division Avenue earned a 61 on its May 2024 inspection. So, we went to find out if they've made corrections.
¿Hay un manager o el dueño del restaurante que... Ok, porque tenemos algunas preguntas de la inspección de comida.
Even with several people behind the counter, an employee told us there wasn't a manager or owner present. She couldn't answer why the restaurant was observed improperly cooling some foods, including chicharrón guisado and raw beef. We couldn't get answers about why inspectors found raw beef patties stored above uncovered pancake mix. Metro Health reordered an inspection. A dead pest was spotted on the floor of Thousand Oaks Cafe off Thousand Oaks and Perrin Bidle. Its score dropped in 4 months to a 79. An inspector noticed potatoes being stored on the floor. Tortillas were being kept in paper towels and other food stored uncovered. Inspectors had to shut down and reinspect Tex-Mex tacos on West Avenue near Blanco. Its score dropped to an 83 in May. It had no hot water. Meat juice dripped to the bottom of a freezer. Inspectors also saw gnats inside the restaurant. For Behind the Kitchen Door, I'm Daniela Ibarra.
I lost my friend Ray to a stroke, almost lost my friend Will to one. So when I hear about people riding bikes to raise stroke awareness, I know I'm not alone because it is a potentially life-altering condition that affects tons of people across the country. We're talking about Cycle Nation, though, that happened tonight, benefiting the American Heart Association. This is what it looked like over at Cycle Bar in Stone Oak. Just a few hours ago, city and county leaders joined stroke survivors riding indoor bikes, all while raising funds and awareness of the signs and symptoms of stroke. Our KSAT crew was there talking to one of my best friends, Will Brown. I just told you about it. He's a stroke survivor who rode with his entire family. Take a listen as he's with his wife, Michelle.
This event is so important to me. It combines education about stroke awareness and riding a bike, and I love to do both. I'm wondering why Steve Spriester is not here. That's what I'm wondering. One of my closest friends in the world, and where is he?
I'm working, Will. I'm working. I left the riding to him. This actually went from 4 till 7:30. Will does it every year. He and his family out there riding to raise funds and raise awareness about strokes and the symptoms and to try to prevent this from happening to more people.
And a lot of people here get strokes. There are also other things that are connected to it, like diabetes and things like that. So the more awareness we can raise about it, the better.
Yeah. One of these years I will ride with you, Will, I promise.
Hey, how many years has he been saying that, Will? How many years?
I'm not saying next year, but maybe next year. How about that?
Boy.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe Caskey and I'll come out and
Actually, I'd love to, because it'd be a competition.
He's down, of course.
Nowadays, with the analytics on those bikes, you can have contests like who can get the highest watts, generate the most power and stuff.
You are so competitive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, you'd be riding to be competitive. I'd just be riding to survive.
You'd be riding for the cause. We're going to be both to win and for cause.
Yeah.
We have one last hurrah out there. A few downpours. Far north Bexar County, far north side of San Antonio. Just isolated around Stone Oak right now, stretching up to Timberwood Park and Bulverde. These are quick splash and dash, not going to add up to much. on top of what you've already picked up, and that's on the order of 1 to 3 inches in this part of town. We'll get to those rainfall totals in a moment. First, I want to show you this activity is pushing off to the northwest at about 30 miles per hour. This is the main batch here that just crossed over I-10 and is currently in Leon Springs. That's where it is now, but obviously it's headed off to the northwest. And if we want to put a timeline on some of this activity, then let's do that right here. Say this downpours right here. Headed to the northwest, and that would make it to Camp Verde at 10:57 p.m. Comfort, I think most of this is going to pass just to the south of you, but you see some pretty good downpours in and around Bernie, down I-10, and then over toward Pipe Creek. Pipe Creek, it's moving in right now. Let's talk about rainfall over the past 24 hours. So this doesn't include all of the rain that we had yesterday, just most of it yesterday, and then the off and on downpours today. Here we are on the far north side of town, and even a few little yellow spots that we've noticed. These yellow, that indicates about 2 inches of rain estimated by Doppler radar near Reagan High School, 2.2 inches of rain. Hollywood Park, very similar. Then we go farther south, and there's this little gap right here from Leon Valley to Jefferson High School to Monte Vista to Terrell Hills, where we just didn't have quite as much luck in terms of the overall accumulations. Monte Vista right along McCullough, a half inch. But then we keep heading down to the south side. Bingo! Another few spots with about 2 inches of rain, and then that stretches down to the southwest of San Antonio as well. But you see that those little yellow dots there near Palo Alto College and Somerset indicating about 2 inches of rainfall. So we'll take it. Check out Crystal City. About 3.5 inches. Isn't that nice? Good to see that. Here's the drought monitor. Keep in mind it was updated today. It does not include yesterday or today's rainfall. The next drought monitor will. Let's isolate and outline the worst drought in our area. And then you put the rainfall totals over the past couple of days. Generally a half inch to a couple of inches. It's enough to put a little dent in that drought, but not wipe it away. Though farther south and east, where we're 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, yeah, that's a big drought buster for those locations. Really quick look at temperatures in the 90s, low to mid 90s going forward, not 100, because the upper level high, the heat high, that's centered over the East Coast right now and giving them some record challenging heat. This will quickly pass overhead in the coming days, but then plant itself over the four corners, so farther to the west of us, and that keeps the door open with that northerly flow aloft. Door open for maybe a few disturbances and 20% chance of showers. First thing tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a 20% chance, nothing like what we had today. 76 in the morning, 90 for the high temperature. Another day a little below average. Divine 90, Bernie 86, Bulverde 89 tomorrow. Sunny, dry weekend, low to mid 90s. Now next week, because that upper high isn't directly overhead, we're not triple digits. And we have those daily 20% chances, which is good to see. Live cam, we actually have a little bit of clearing, and you can see the big, beautiful, bright moon that just popped up in the sky in the gaps between the clouds.
All right, thank you.
All right, no matter what happens this weekend in Omaha, somebody's going to make history.
Absolutely. So either the Aggies or the Volunteers are going to win their first national championship in college baseball. Now, the Volunteers were runner-up back in the 50s, so the Aggies and Vols, they want to win this game. Plus, Alyssa Smith and the Indiana Fever, you know what? They are on a roll. Coming up. We've been talking about it all day long, and rightfully so. Texas A&M baseball will face Tennessee in the Men's College World Series Championship Series. The Aggies got here by beating Florida 3-2. Kentucky 5-1, and Florida again 6-0 for the Aggies' first 3-0 start ever at the CWS. Tennessee is also 3-0 in Omaha after beating Florida State 12-11, North Carolina 6-1, and Florida State on Wednesday 7-2 to set up their matchup with the Aggies. Now, these two met once this season in the SEC tournament, and the Vols beat them 7-4. The Aggies are in the CWS finals for the first time ever, and the players are thrilled to make school history.
I'd say it means a lot to me. I grew up a big A&M fan, so it's awesome to be a part of the team that is able to be the first team that's made the finals. It's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, truly exciting being that team, and I'm just so proud of this group of guys and how selfless we've been playing these last few weeks, so really proud of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an amazing feeling. I remember coming to these games when I was like 10 years old and always wanted to be a part of this. So, finally being here and making it this far, it's an amazing feeling, but obviously the job's not finished yet.
Game 1 between the Aggies and Vols is Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Game 2 is Sunday afternoon at 1, and it's live here on KSAT 12. And Game 3, if necessary, will go down Monday night at 6. All right, we stopped by New Braunfels Canyon High School the other day where the Cougars were going through morning conditioning. And look who's back in town, former Judson head football coach Sean McCullough, who's now the head coach of the Cougs. We spent some time with him and had to ask what's it going to be like for him to go up against Judson in week 6 of the season.
It's going to be a bittersweet deal. I'll always be fond of my days growing up there. Some of my best friends, my defensive coordinator and I played together at Judson. It's a special place, but that Thursday night when we get to duke it out, it's going to be us against them, and we're going to do everything we can to try to put a product on the field that gives us the best opportunity to win.
Every new coaching opportunity comes with positives and negatives. So since coming back to the San Antonio area from his time in the Houston area, what has Coach McCullough seen from his players that jumped out right away?
There's a change in the talent level here. I don't know if they've ever had this many kids that have an opportunity to go and play at the next level. Jackson Regan, running back, has an offer. We have a defensive back. Tapiwa's got an offer. We have 2 offensive linemen that are 6'5 plus. So there's a lot of talent, and to be quite honest with you, it reminds me of some of the talent that I was fortunate enough to play with out in the Houston area. So that's jumped out.
All that talent for the Cougars we put on display when they opened the season with Austin High School.
This Indiana offense has been humming here on the homestand. 91 points in each of their 2 wins as Smith goes right up the middle and finishes.
So Smith and the Indiana Fever are on a roll as winners of a season-high 3 straight games. Last night they beat the Mystics 88-81. Melissa had 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and a block in 31 minutes. And rookie Caitlin Clark had a double-double with 18 points and 12 rebounds to go with 4 steals. The Fever will next play at Atlanta tomorrow night at 6:30. The Gunslingers quarterback takes home a weekly honor after the break. The Houston Astros at the Chicago White Sox for some daytime baseball, and Jordan got the Stros off to a great start in the top of the first inning with this big fly to right field, and it's 1-0 Astros. That one-way flight going 439 feet. Now the White Sox would lead 3-1 before the Stros would come back. Top 7, Alex Bregman scores on a White Sox throwing error to first. Astros take the lead 4-3, and they win it 5-3. How about this? Major League Baseball played at Rick Wood Field in Birmingham, Alabama tonight. It's the oldest existing pro baseball park in the United States and opened in 1910 and served as a home park for the Birmingham Barons and Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues and St. Louis Cardinals, where they beat the San Francisco Giants tonight 6-5. For back-to-back weeks and the 5th time this season, San Antonio Gunslingers quarterback Sam Castronova is the Indoor Football League Offensive Player of the Week. Against the Massachusetts Pirates, he completed 28 of 38 passes, 314 yards and 6 touchdowns. Sam now holds the top 3 spots in passing yards in a game this season.
I keep meaning to go out to the Freeman to see the Gunslingers play because it looks like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's so fast-paced. You can knock guys over into the stands. It's pretty cool.
I just want to see what a football game inside the Freeman looks like.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you. We'll be right back.